when the British showed up.
Yep.
It's the Redeye stream 107. I would like, before we even get started, guys, we're going to take a moment of silence for Barbra Bush. May she rest in peace. Now I want to talk about how George W. let the Saudi Arabians out of the country after they orchestrated 9/11. No, I'm kidding.
Of course.
No, it is sad that Barbra Bush died, and even Styx said the one good Bush, and she had to die first. That's quite sad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know much about Barbra Bush, but it was when Jeb Bush asked mommy to endorse him, and she was so fucking hesitant. And oh god, her fucking face made me laugh so much. It's from that point on I really enjoyed Barbra Bush. God rest her soul. But I actually had a question for you, Mad Dodge, and MC. So I watched a Styx video this morning because it kind of caught my attention that he wouldn't take the opportunity to ream the bushes. So literally the first 60 seconds of his video about Barbra Bush, he goes on and he talks about how what was it? Prescott Bush was selling arms to both sides, tried to like overthrow the government and install fascism through some kind of like corporate like overthrow or something, and like how they were involved in racketeering. I have a inkling feeling like Styx is talking out of his ass. How much of that is true? Do you guys know?
It is pretty true. I mean, just like everybody knows, the Queen of England survives on babies. You know, she eats babies. I mean, it's a fact. So
yeah, but the Kennedys, the same thing, right? I mean, they got in on insider trading and things like that. The Bushes, Granddaddy Bush was in. You can still watch it on C-SPAN. Trading with the enemies because Brown Harriman Bank. He was funding Hitler.
Kennedys were bootleggers.
Kennedys at the time.
Yeah, but Kennedys were bootleggers. They got their money from moonshine, which is okay. I'm fine with that. Avoiding taxation is theft. I'm perfectly fine with that.
How do you think we got all of our every single aristocrat? You go back in their history. If they go back into the proper, then you'll find every single one of them was either a pirate or a buccaneer or something. And all they had to do was go back and pay homage to the Queen, with a fucking potato and a boomerang. And they got an estate. And,
I don't know why, but I just got the image of fucking Jeb Bush as a pirate. It doesn't fit well.
Well, it'd be a very gay pirate, wouldn't it? It'd be like Pirate of Penzance.
Oh, that's true. I mean, wasn't it Sir Francis Drake was a privateer, and gosh, quite a lot of them were privateers actually.
They were.
Now that I think
that's where, if you go back far enough, they all did some service, chop somebody's head off on behalf of a king or a queen or some other aristocrat, and that's how they get knighted. You got to be a real bastard to get into the aristocracy.
No kidding.
It's true.
So,
no, but
when is your knighthood coming?
Who says I haven't got one?
I'm just checking.
Yeah, you'll be knighted as soon as I get a silver play button. Fuck off, Cabbage.
I think he has a better chance of getting knighted than you getting a silver play
do.
button.
Yeah, I'd say that.
That was a low blow, MC. Yeah.
I see it. I can be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time.
All I need is
actually.
You need another 10 lifetimes.
No, wait a minute. He's betting against. If he's betting against me, then I'm gonna win. So cool. Silver play button. Here we come, guys. The Redeye. Yeah, the Redeye will have a silver play button. Just like we bombed Syria. That's right.
Only if you believe in the singularity and you're going to have an eternal life will you ever get a silver button.
God. Hey, I could probably buy one on Craigslist. Fuck off, Cabbage.
That's true. That's true. Oh, then again, you can buy peerages. You can buy titles,
Are you serious?
Well, I can't.
Oh, yeah. You can buy them.
But anyone can. It's not landed.
No, you actually get to own like 1 square foot of a plot of land somewhere.
Yeah, but you can't
wait, 1 foot? You just put your flag there.
The peerage is not hereditary. Is what my
no, it's not. No, it's not. I didn't say it was hereditary. But then again, half of the people in the House of Lords are not hereditary. But you still have a title. You could still call yourself, a lord.
Wow.
Lord of the square foot.
I can see it. Lord Cabbage, bow before me.
Yeah,
well, you can always build yourself a tiny little dirt castle and make you feel fulfilled.
I just put a gnome on mine. Little gnome. With a sword.
Lord of the Shire. Is that it?
Yeah, shield and a sword. Yeah, that'd be good. A hobbit, little shield and sword.
Dude, can you just put a Confederate flag there? I'll send you the flag. I just want you to get that little foot of land and put a Confederate flag right there.
Are you kidding me? If you put a Confederate flag anywhere around there, he'd probably get arrested for freaking some kind of hate crime.
That's true.
Wait, he's a lord of that foot. That's his. He's lord of that foot. He gets to do what he wants.
Technically.
Yeah, and theoretically, they have freedom of speech in England as well.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's very well. No, we don't. This is the problem. People say that we have. No, we've been allowed permission to speak in certain ways, but we don't have it like you have it. You actually have the right, as in enshrined in the Constitution. We have nowhere in our legal system does it declare that, and people have the right to say what they want. There is nothing.
And it still doesn't shut Cabbage up. Look at that.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we're naturally rebellious people over here,
Just not too
don't like authority.
Just not too rebellious.
Well, no, we just like people to shut up and leave us to their our own business. That's really all it is. That's why we try to get rid, put the kings in their places. We've had lots of rebellions and uprisings and stuff. So you can hardly say that, we've been meek and mild. But we can be. When we're left alone, then we'll invite you in for a cup of tea and a scone.
Well, I prefer whiskey, but anyway, we'll cover that when I come over.
Their invitations include a dress down at the Parliament.
Well, you will have to dress for the party.
See?
Cup of buns are an absolute. Anyway, it couldn't be whiskey because that'd be Scotland. Anyway, I'm English. So.
Well, fair enough. I'll bring the whiskey. All right. MC, before we went on air, you had a story that sounds really interesting you want to talk about. I don't think it's going to end up happening, though. They could recommend whatever they want. But go ahead and tell the people what we're talking about.
There was an official recommendation by congressmen for an official that was sent to Jeff Sessions and signed, requesting an immediate criminal investigation of Mr. Comey, Mr. McCabe, Loretta Lynch, Peter Strzok, and several other people, all right, and everyone that signed the FISA warrant for criminal investigation. Now, this is very important. Why? Because the whole thing, many of the investigations that they justified against Trump came about as a direct result of two senators, Mr. Al Franken, and Mr. Reid, who requested the investigations take place. So this carries a lot more weight as to what's going on with this. The things with Hillary mention her basically her dealings with the Clinton Foundation, more or less. Comey for lying under oath, perjury. Same thing with McCabe. All right. The fact that they mentioned Loretta Lynch and obstruction of justice means they want a very more in-depth probe. And this is the first time anybody's tied a Clinton administration official to an official request for an investigation.
Yeah, but isn't it possible for them to do this anytime they like? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, they could make any ridiculous ones, and there have been ridiculous ones in the past.
Yeah, but
right? So anyone can put forward a bill or put forward a.
This is not a bill. This is a request, and the DOJ could turn it down. However,
so, I mean,
they can't.
Could it just be grandstanding?
But they can't do it without public comment. They can't hide this, and that's the big issue. You've been asked to sit up there and do a requested investigation on this, and so they've got to come up and say why they're not going to investigate it. Especially
so it's going on the record. That's what.
And what's more is they put this out right before the IG's report comes out. Okay, so this is tied together, all right, to try and force the DOJ to take action on whatever the IG report finds.
Yeah, but let's kind of be a little bit real here. Cabbage has a point. It is kind of grandstanding. We are winding down to the midterms here in a matter of months. We have the summer campaign season about ready to start ratcheting up, and the Democrats and the Republicans both have their backs against the walls in this one. So, I mean, this is kind of a grandstand move. But you're right. The DOJ has to comment on it, and it's Trump's DOJ. So I say they're going to investigate.
Well, it's not just that it's Trump's DOJ. Right? The problem isn't the problem they have to comment on is the fact that you got an IG report getting ready to come out, and let's be honest, Andrew McCabe is as dirty as they've come. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so is Comey. And they're going to be commented on in that IG report, all right? And they're going to be pointing out, criminal activity by these two, all right? And the fact that they mentioned Loretta Lynch with the FISA warrant, there are problems here that they're going to have to try and address, especially when the IG report comes out and says, yeah, these crimes were committed. Well, now you're going to have to tell the American people, okay, why you decide to either investigate or not investigate. If you decide to investigate,
well,
that's easy enough to do. You just say, well, we're taking these recommendations seriously, and we've begun an investigation.
Well, this is one of the reasons. Like, I mean, whether it's the midterms coming up or it's this IG report, it's just like a preemption attack. That's why it seems, again, that even emphasizes the idea that someone's trying to get in ahead of the curve.
Well, they're trying to set what the Republicans are doing is they're setting the table. All right. Yeah. That's what they're doing for how this is going to how this is going to be discussed going forward. And the press can't hide this. This is the problem. The press has been hiding a lot of malfeasance for a long time.
That's what I mean. They're setting the platform for the for the midterms, aren't they? Well, they're setting up the major talking points which are going to be going through the whole of the midterm.
Yeah. Okay. Yes and no. Okay. To an extent, possibly, but not really. And this is why. The midterms are not national elections. They take place in a local environment. That you don't have.
Yeah, but the people at those, but the friends of the people who you're voting for. So you also look at who they affiliate with and who they're connected
to an extent.
Somebody was,
but not largely. Largely, the midterm elections revolve around local issues going around in those areas at the time. For example, what's going to affect the Missouri Senate election is going to have more to do. It's going to have
gun laws.
Well, it's the gun laws, but also the fact that their governor is under indictment. Okay, so that's going to have more of an effect than this, for example.
I think Austin Peterson's going to do great in the Missouri elections. Actually, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, you can be a homer.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is entertaining as all hell. One of my fears, though, is that kind of just sitting down thinking about this is that strategically this is good for the Republicans, but it's also talking about local elections. This is maybe not so tactfully inclined. I mean, one of the problems is that you're going to have a lot of people brand this as essentially a witch hunt, right? People are going to start entering, oh, it's the Red Scare mode. And whether it's true or not is, of course, up for debate, I suppose. Well, I mean, I don't know, not really. But the whole witch hunt thing is going to be used as a club to bludgeon the Republicans, I think.
That's what I mean.
I don't think that they're going to even attempt to do that. And the reason is because the whole media, the media's been very, very quiet about it for a reason, because they know how guilty and how dirty they are. Right? Not just when I say dirty, I'm not talking about Hillary Clinton. I'm not talking about Loretta Lynch and everything. I'm talking about the press. They know how dirty they've been on this issue. They've been trying to avoid even talking about it because of how much they've hidden about what was going on. And they're going to have to, if they start trying to say, well, this is a witch hunt, well, then people are going to go, well, what do you mean? And they're going to have to go, well, it's a witch hunt, but they got these emails, but they got these Twitter accounts. They haven't been reporting the tweets from Stroke and so forth. They haven't been reporting. All right, Andrew McCabe basically saying, no, Comey's lying. He told me to basically go to the Wall Street Journal, and he knew all about it, and I was giving him briefings. Yeah. They're not reporting any of that, all that's going to have to come out. So they're not going to jump on it as quickly as you think they are to say, okay, well, this is how they're going to go about it. And when I talk about it being local, you got to remember the local issues are going to dominate in most of these cases. That's why I brought up the Missouri race. I think the Missouri race, what's harming the Republicans in the Missouri race more than anything else, is you have a Republican governor who basically was sleeping around, all right, at the very least, and may have sit up there and tried to strong arm his girlfriend with naked pictures. All right, that's what he's being accused of. So,
can I ask a question here? Because I'm a bit confused with this. So you're saying that midterms are, I mean, obviously presidential elections, it's party-based. So midterms are not party-based. So people aren't saying, well, I'm a Republican, so I'll vote, for the Republican rep.
Correct.
Right? So are you saying that people just flip-flop left and right on midterms?
People focus on in the midterms, they focus on local politics.
Yeah, but is it not? Yeah, but it's still a Democrat or a Republican.
It is still a Democrat or Republican, but it's how that Democrat and Republican come across on local issues that have nothing to do on a national front necessarily. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It can happen, but it's very difficult to take a midterm election and turn it into a national election. All right, to where the focal points are national issues rather than local issues. Now it happened initially with the congressional banking scandal back in the 80s, right? Was it late? No, I'm sorry, in the early 90s. That became national because the congressmen were looked upon as a national group. All right, but it's very rare for you to be able to pull a midterm elections and not have it remain kind of a local issue within the dynamic. Now this year, I'll be honest with you, I'm just using this from things past. Yes, Trump is a game changer. Yes, the national news has changed its dynamics to a large extent. That could have an effect, but at this point in time, I think it's still wait and see.
I think you're forgetting the internet effect when it comes to fundraising for these local campaigns. Yeah, they're focusing on local issues, but like somebody like Austin Peterson, I don't know how many people are on his mailing list that are not from Missouri, but I know I've been entering raffles and I may or may not have sent a small donation. And I don't live in Missouri, but I care about that race to get somebody that's that libertarian in there.
No, I understand, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. I'm just going by history. Things could change. I'm not going to deny that. And this could be, and Cabbage could be 100% correct in that the fervor with Trump is going to be more dominant than I think it is. But we'll have to wait and see. You'll know if it becomes national if basically Trump goes on the stump and goes all over the country, showing up with some of these candidates. That's when you'll know he's trying to turn it into a national election.
Yeah. Well, I mean, personally, I don't think he'll do that, but he will most likely give Twitter shout-outs to those who maybe will tacitly support him, just to kind of seize on the Trump hysteria, or to seize on the support that Trump has.
Well, Trump's just going to tweet no matter what you do. You can't tell him not to.
No,
you're not going to be able to stop him from tweeting.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the phone is super glued to his fucking hand or something. But no, that's very true. But I mean, I don't know if Trump's going to necessarily go out. I think that's a bit of a. What was that, Cabbage?
I don't think it's a stretch. I mean, hell, he was still doing presentations after he even got elected. Remember, he was doing all of these talks around the country. I mean, he'll turn up to the opening of a supermarket. I mean, it doesn't matter if he can get his face on the screen. He'll be there.
Well, but Obama was generally trying to do. Obama was trying to generally do the same thing to an extent, all right. But even he was very muted in the two off.
Yeah, but like I said, if you're looking at the dynamics of what's happening with the DOJ and everything else, and you can capitalize on it. I mean, the one thing Donald Trump will do is try and capitalize on any kind of opportunity.
Oh,
so
well,
and that's why I'm saying I think the partisan issue might be a little bit more.
If it is more to do, it'll be because of the Trump factor more than anything else. And I don't mean that from the saying Trump is better
also the 24-hour. But also the 24-hour news cycle, which will be reporting on all this stuff constantly, and then it will become party political.
Well, but the 24-hour news cycle doesn't report the local issues and the local.
No, that's what I mean.
But hold on, but the local issues are what people watch.
Exactly.
The local issues will be the local debates, for example. All right, will be what people watch.
Yes.
There won't be any. There'll be very little of national news.
Well, and you also have to look at the lower voter turnout when it comes to these midterm elections. A low vote turnout when it's the off years, when it comes to the presidential election. So there will be less people voting, and the people that do vote care. So I think that's the problem with these 24-hour news cycle networks anyway. Because they don't have a 24-hour news cycle. They have a 4-hour news cycle, and they repeat themselves so fucking often. When all I had was just cable, I didn't even have internet, I'd watch Fox News or whatever, and it'd be the same stories every 4 hours.
That's what I mean.
It might be a different guy reporting it. It's bullshit. It's not a 24-hour news cycle, though. They could find more to fill that out with.
Yeah.
Well, of course they could, yeah. I mean, but what I'm saying is that if the 24-hour news cycle is full of this, this new problem that's being generated, and that's the majority of the news that people are consuming, like you said, by sitting in front of Fox News, they're not watching anything about local stuff. But if it's offset by, low turnout and only, active members of the, then you won't see that same kind of skewing. But I don't know, because the way that, this whole Trump thing is going, you might get a lot higher turnouts because people are panicking that Trump might get thrown out or something, or they lose the House or the Senate.
Yeah. I was gonna make that very point. That's
the House is more likely to be lost by the Republicans than the Senate, but that just happens to be because of the vagrancy
traditional
election. No, it's okay. Senators serve for a 6-year term. So every 2 years, only a third are up for re-election, where all the House members are up for re-election every 2 years. All right. So what this causes, however, is when you have a divided Senate like you do right now, is okay. 1/3 of those senators. Well, how many are Republicans and how many are Democrats? All right. You have over 20 Democrats trying to seek re-election versus 10 Republicans on this cycle. Okay. So it becomes quite unlikely. All right, that it's going to be far more difficult for the Democrats to hold what they have and gain 2 additional seats. All right, you hold everything and gain 2 additional seats in comparison to the Republicans just picking off a Democrat here or there, right, in the Senate. Now the House is it's totally up for grabs, and because a number of states have redistrict, there'll be a number of things that'll be interesting to see how all that fleshes out.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania got redistricted. Arizona got redistricted. There's several other states that went through redistricting due to population changes. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, to see and also through gerrymandering. Let's not forget.
Right. Well, the gerrymandering takes place by the, in the
electoral college.
No, not in the electoral college. In the states, to choose how their districts go.
Yeah.
Yes, between they all have to agree, don't they? The
state legislatures say this is our redistricting plan. Deal with it.
Yeah, but I thought but you get a chance. But you get a chance to reject one, and so they end up bartering, which is how you end up with these weird shaped, districts.
No, it just depends on who owns the state house.
All right.
They just redraw the lines however they freaking feel like it.
Okay.
Yeah, which is bullshit. It should be set by county, but whatever. Who am I to say? All right. So North Korea and South Korea are set to have talks in a month or two, and now peace altogether is on the table. I do have a story here from the Tampa Bay Times. This was about 3:35 yesterday. Trump says North Korea and South Korea peace talks have his blessing. President Donald Trump says conversations between North and South Korea to end their decades-long war have his blessing. Speaking as he welcomed Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to his private Abe into his private, whatever. Trump confirmed two Koreas are negotiating an end to hostilities. Will that include the United States, MC? I want to stop it right there because, I mean, really, we're the one that's manning the parallel, aren't we?
No. Well, I mean, we South Korea.
Yeah.
South Koreans have a number of troops there. Don't.
You don't know. South Korea is a sovereign state. I mean, America's there as an ally in support of them, but they still have their own sovereign right to negotiate. I mean, they'd obviously notified the Americans of their intentions. They wouldn't just fuck them off. But you know what I mean? It's still
well, no shit, but I mean, is that just going to end everything? Then what happens? North Korea is allowed to go nuclear since they're technically at peace. I mean.
No, it wouldn't change anything. It wouldn't change anything. You could just demilitarize that zone, but then it would leave South Korea wide open. Nothing would really change because nobody would trust the peace.
Yeah, well, and let's be honest. I mean, when it comes to negotiation, North Korea will most likely be giving up their entire nuclear stockpile, weapons and energy alike. I don't see them having any. I don't see them when it comes to negotiations. I don't see them having anything regarding nuclear power and I don't know, at least like fucking 50 years or 100 or some crazy shit like that.
Before everyone gets all excited about this, right? And Trump was also tweeting about his upcoming possible meeting with North Korea. He also made a comment, and that comment was, "We're having difficulties with them even establishing what the agenda is going to be on the talks."
No,
okay.
So this could just be.
It's highly unlikely.
Yeah, don't. I mean, I would like to see things go forward. I would like to see us sit up there and have peace. I would like an actual peace treaty, all right, to be signed in Korea. It'd be a wonderful thing. But at this point in time, in the regime that we're dealing with, things are way too early to get excited about this.
Exactly.
You know,
this is like it'll be a 10-year plan, if anything. You know, and anyway, you know, even if they did just, technically agree peace, they both signed a declaration of peace and everyone's happy, hugs and kisses. I don't think you're ever going to demilitarize the DMZ because you can have peace. It doesn't mean that you trust the peace. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's why people maintain borders. So, it's like, well, yeah, we do trust you now, but, we
trust you as far as we can throw you. Yeah.
Exactly. We trust you as far as we can throw you over the DMZ.
The idea that this peace is going to break out and we have peace in our time and let's wait and see how this plays out. Is it a better sign than we've had in the past? Okay, yeah, you can say it's a better sign, but is it significant? It's too early to even know if it's significant or not. Could it lead to something? No, well, of course, because everything has to start from. This is the kind of thing that has to beginning. This has to be the beginning. All right. Does that mean this is the beginning? though? We don't know.
Yeah. Well, and the concerning
beginning of the beginning.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, the concerning part though is that how much of this is a facade. Because I mean, to the layman, this looks really nice. The North and South Koreans had like a what was it, like ice figure skating team or something. Something.
They had their hockey teams.
Hockey teams. Figure skating, hockey, same thing, kind of. But
but there's also there are conflicting messages coming out of Korea.
Oh yeah. I mean, they had their joint hockey team and everything, and they're talking about having peace talks sometime in the future. So it looks great. But at the same time, what are the North Koreans thinking behind the scenes? You know, what are they? They're sitting there twiddling their fingers and stroking their chins, and that's a
Twiddling
concern.
their
I
fingers,
can tell you,
stroking their chins, and asking China, what do we say?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
you know, 40, I think it's a fluff piece. I really do. I think it's just, you know, kind of like got to have some happy news to compensate for, you know, fucking Syria and everything. So I don't know. I don't really think it's a real piece. I think it's just somebody really grasping at straws because they overheard somebody say that, you know, someone had a conversation with an American, and oh my God, that must be détente.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
well,
you know what I mean?
is you end up the press in their wonderful thing today, of course, announced that Pompeo, who is now going to be Secretary of State,
that's
had gone over and had talked to the North Koreans directly, and this was while he was the director of the CIA.
George Pompeo. Is that who I'm thinking of, or who? Oh, okay.
So there are talks. There are high-level talks that have not taken place before between the United States and North Korea. These are.
Oh, come on out. Yeah, they are MC, but that's only because, like you say, they're bringing them to the front. There's always been back channels into. Well, there's back channels into every country which America is not technically, you know, in talks.
Yeah, but what about a bigger worry? What if the peace? Okay, what if they do have peace? All right, they go right for it. Then the free flow of people across the border, families reunited. Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh,
look,
no.
The North Koreans can eat now.
Peace does not mean reunification. No.
I didn't say
this isn't bringing down the Berlin Wall.
Well, why would they not have free flow of people, of families that have been separated for how, you know,
the same way as, yeah,
because everyone
they're going to push for that. They're going to push for that, and then you're going to have spies going across. You're going to have all sorts of shit.
No, I would think that, no, because if they did
the border controls don't change. The border controls don't change just because you declare peace. All it means is we're not going to intentionally blow the shit out of you.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. In this culture where family is everything, that they're going to keep the families from.
But there's not this culture. It's Korean culture, for Christ's sake. You're trying to apply American culture to Kim.
No, I'm applying Asian culture, dude. Americans don't give a shit about their family nearly as much as the Asian culture. Give me a fucking break.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there'll be much more. When was the last
time you talked to your sister or something? I haven't talked to my sister in months. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, but I don't understand why you think that a peace treaty indicates a unification or a union of any kind. It just means we're not going to blow. We're not going to, may potentially blow you up. Well, I mean, that's all it means. Well, it's a cessation of of conflict. That's what they're talking about.
No, because they've had had the armistice. They've had the we're not going to fucking blow you to pieces thing for decades. A peace treaty ending all hostilities will open North Korea up from being a pariah in the world.
No, it won't.
It
could. Come on now.
Could. No, that doesn't mean it will, Mad Dodge. Kybich is right about this. It could, yes, theoretically, it could. Will it? I seriously doubt that will be included.
Well, it depends on how the peace treaties. If the peace treaty includes some degree of unification,
then why have peace? Then why declare peace? Then you're.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I think it's a fluff piece, because I don't ever see anyone being able to trust, the other side. So you'll still end up with the DMZ. It'd be like. It'd be like if you had Germany, but they never took down the Berlin Wall. They had, you couldn't reunify it anyway without massive other considerations that would be way beyond just a peace treaty. A peace treaty is a simple thing to sign, and it looks good if you're going to do it. But even if they did, it doesn't include anything, or there's no obligation for any other element to it apart from just.
It could officially
friends
end hostilities.
Yeah,
but that's it.
Yeah. A peace treaty doesn't say that you're friends. It just says that you're not. That we don't see you as enemies in the way we used to.
Well, and the other thing is that I'm sure if something like this were to come about, I'm sure like family meetings at the DMZ or something like that, I'm sure that they would be far more liberal with that kind of leeway. But I mean, if they were to, I know, I just lack of better words. Lack of better words. But I mean, if they were just to allow free flow of population, then by the end of tomorrow, North Korea wouldn't have a citizenry. They don't go to South Korea.
But like I said, but that's the point. All North Korea is nothing changes about North Korean sovereignty. Nothing changes about South Korean.
And why does North Korea want to even do it? No, because North Korea has been
it's looking good
for years. No, why do they
like
care
I said,
they'll kill their own.
Because
they'll
I
kill
think
fucking the brother of the leader in a foreign airport because he went to Disney World.
There's two reasons.
This is the type of people we're
Why
talking
would he do it? There's two reasons, right? Or there's several reasons, all right? If we're going to, let's assume it's face value, all right? One of the major reasons that he's doing it is China has been forcing the issue. China is sick and tired of every time they try to make a move on the international stage, North Korea bollockses it up. They screw it up constantly.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I can see that North Korea or China basically saying, we've had enough of you. You'll do this our way, and we'll put an end to that part of the situation for themselves, if for no other reason. And if they don't do it, I think that China was basically making noise like, okay, if they attack you, we're going to watch. We weren't going to get involved. We're just going to watch. Now, North Korea knows if they actually go to war with South Korea, yeah, they can do a lot of damage initially. But the writing's on the wall. North Korea will be conquered. The South Korean forces themselves, without any help from the United States, can beat the North Korean military. It wouldn't be pleasant, and there'd be a lot of people dying, but they could do it.
That's if China didn't decide to support. And I know that's unlikely because China and Korea are not good bedfellows at the moment for all the reasons you said. But if China saw it as strategically viable to suck in the US, and take out a lot of their capital or whatever, and then there would be an opportunity to respond. It'd be use North Korea to suck in the American forces, and that would leave China to do whatever it likes. And it's got plenty more troops than Korea has.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think that if they were to do that, that would just give us more reason to establish a foothold in that particular area of the world. I don't think they would want that.
You already have. You got floating cities, and you got your entire flotillas out there. You've got plenty of locations to launch from, including Japan.
I mean, I don't think it's
modern warfare these days. Well, modern warfare. I mean, don't forget, it's not like it used to be, where you had to be within a relatively short distance. The majority of the bombs that were dropped on Baghdad were launched from, where was it? Which American air base in America? Just refueled in the air. Yeah, I mean, it does when shock and awe happens. The majority of the bombs that dropped started. They were. That was on a plane all the way from America to Baghdad, non-stop.
Yeah, but you're talking about a man who supposedly talks to. You're talking about a man who supposedly talks to dolphins and hunts unicorns on the weekend. You're not necessarily talking actor. MC preach to me all the time. I don't understand the culture of the people I'm talking about. They don't understand Western values. Well, North Korea doesn't understand any fucking values whatsoever, and they have shown that to be true. So if he's going to end hostilities officially and declare peace, something is going to go his way. Something is. And I see at least a minimal exchange of goods and food for his people and a little bit of flow across the border would really go his way for spying reasons and nothing else. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're putting too much on this idea that they can sneak a couple of spies across. If they had any decent spies, they'd be able to get there anyway.
Do not underestimate what they do have. They have a serious spy network inside of Korea. They already inside of South Korea. So don't underestimate that. I mean, the border's there, but there's a lot of ways to get troops on there. Not the least of which is by submarine, and you land them on the. They got diesel subs where they could land spies on the southern side of that border fairly easily. Right? And they've caught, and then several times they've caught them doing it from time to time, where they've sunk subs and everything else. So don't think that they don't already do that. The thing is, Mad Dodge, what we're trying to say is just because we declare peace, there are other reasons why he may be wanting to have peace. Although you do make a good point. One of the reasons could be he wants some food into his country to keep the populace from revolting on him.
That can
not a
make
bad
sense.
thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Well, some
but I mean,
trade. But then the thing is, then why at the same time is he also saying that well, North Korea is going to join in if there's a, you know, with Iran and Russia or whatever for the, you know, the fucking Syrian thing. So, you know, that would pit him directly against America anyway. And that's the whole point. It's a regional thing. It's got fuck all to do with the international community. If they want to sign a peace treaty together, like I said, fine, hugs, kisses, and, you know, get on with it. But it won't change a damn thing.
Well, the one thing it would change for him that would also be a positive for him is their standing within the UN would change.
yeah.
Oh, possibly, yeah. He'd probably get Man of the Year on Time magazine or something.
Well, I mean, there's definitely a strong possibility that, you know, when you're talking about exchange of goods and international trade, I'm sure the North Koreans would benefit enormously from that. But I just don't see.
Well, yeah, it would stop sanctions, wouldn't it? I mean, that's really
well.
what it would be.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if it would stop sanctions, but I'm sure it would lighten the load quite a bit. You know, enough to make a difference. But at the same time, if you're talking about free flow of people and, you know, espionage agents and all that other stuff, I mean, keep in mind, even if they do try and sneak people into South Korea, we're probably going to be doing it back to them tenfold, seeing as how many people absolutely disdain North Korea. So at the same time, if they open up their borders, it's just going to show how shitty the regime is, and it's probably going to inspire a lot of people to double down on the sanctions that they have on North Korea. You know, if we can get people in there, if we can absolutely 100% confirm that they have, you know, these wild death camps where people are, you know,
from our standpoint, from our standpoint, even a normalization of relations, right, where we have exchanged embassies, would be beneficial to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, it could, you know, it gets a little bit with the UN. You know, they can work on, say, World Trade Organization deals and things like that, but nothing fundamentally between the two countries, or, you know, relating internal activity or between the two is not going to change. It might be a change for North Korea that they get some extra shit they wouldn't have otherwise got, but in terms of the, you know, the Koreans, they're not going to see any difference. Well, North Koreans will, because hopefully they won't have to keep eating kimchi every day.
Kimchi's a staple, man. They eat that all the time.
I know. Can you believe that?
Just as a warning for people who've never been to Korea, if you're going to go to Korea, and Korea has some very beautiful sites. All right, there's a lot of history there. It's very interesting. But don't go there for the first time in Korea in July. Just don't.
Ooh. Oh shit. I mean, I don't know. Kimchi actually doesn't look that bad. Traditional side dish made from salted and fermented vegetables.
Yeah.
Chili powder, scallions.
Have you ever smelled kimchi?
I don't know. It smells good. Is it spicy?
It's spicy.
It can be, yeah. It can be.
Have you ever smelled it?
Well, I mean, there's lots of different types of kimchi.
Yeah. Have you ever smelled cabbage? Have you ever smelled either radish or cabbage kimchi?
No, I haven't.
Oh yeah, most of them
like
do taste very rancid.
I'm not joking.
It is.
Oh, yummy.
And you know, when the North Koreans
it does smell that way. Of course, I've never eaten a rotten corpse, so maybe a rotten corpse does taste like that. So,
well, it's just south of you. You don't have to go very far.
Tennessee. You know, when the North Koreans did their, you know, space, launching into space with the capsules, they actually had kimchi. They'd had to make a space-stable kimchi for the people. Yeah, they demanded it. The astronauts demanded it.
Huh.
I guess it's one of those things you've got to have been brought up on, I think. You know, it's an acquired taste, as they say.
Or smell from the sounds of it.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine that in a spaceship after a bunch of people have eaten curried, you know, like spicy cabbage?
I'll tell you right now, I could imagine them getting, you know, the other astronauts revolting and sticking them in an airlock. I really can.
Yeah. They are not going to get invited to the International Space Station. That's for fucking sure.
We
ain't docking with you, buddy. We're not docking with you. Fuck you.
They eat so much of it there. It comes out of their pores in the summertime. They sweat that smell.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Oh my fuck.
So the whole place smells like rotting pickled cabbage.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it sounds good, you know, like once or twice, you know, like
Just
a month or
if
something.
If
but
you ever have it, it's hot.
Yeah.
If you like really hot or spicy food, then you'll love the taste of kimchi.
I
But the
do.
first
Just
time you
stick
smell
to
it,
gumbo
you'll
and
be like, "Oh my
jambalaya,
god,
man.
I'm eating something."
You'll be better off for it.
Gosh,
Yeah,
was
but
that?
the point is, the only reason is that it overwhelms your other senses, so that you don't know what you're shoving in your fucking mouth. All you're really getting is heat, right?
kimchi
Your taste buds become redundant at that point, and your nasal passages are flaring. So
I don't think it's quite.
you know,
At least I didn't think.
at that point, it just becomes vegetable matter. That's all it is.
All right, so I got an interesting story given to us from Captain Coalpile in the chat a little bit ago. So, Pittsburgh police prepare for possible riots in the event Trump fires Mueller.
Mueller.
Yeah.
Mueller.
Yeah. God damn it, Cabbage. Fuck off.
That is a great meme.
Yeah. Pittsburgh police are gearing up for possible protests in the event that President Donald Trump fires Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Now I'm doing it. Fuck off.
Addictive.
A memo went out to the police department from Victor Joseph, commander of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. In the memo, the department's detectives are instructed to begin wearing full uniform and carrying riot gear with them in anticipation of massive protests. Police believe the protest will happen within 24 hours of his firing. And it is believed that President Trump will soon move to fire Special Prosecutor Mueller. This would result in a large protest within 24 hours of the firing, the email states. Why Pittsburgh and why the massive protest?
I think that was just something that somebody thought to leak to the press. People are trying to inflame an issue before there's even anything to discuss.
But I mean, listen to all those words that you just said. You know, people believe there are things. This is what the press usually does to antagonize, to create more news.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing substantive behind it. It's just, we have heard. It's basically gossip. That is, you may as well put that into the, into Cosmopolitan or something. That's pathetic. That's not reporting. That's sad.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I suspect that there probably is a police response that says, just in case of this scenario, there may have been a scenario being discussed that somebody got wind of, and next thing you know, the press takes it and runs with it to exploit the situation, to exacerbate the situation.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just thinking about how many people would actually goddamn care if it wasn't for, what is this, like CBS Pittsburgh, if it wasn't for them reporting on this, how many people would actually care? Because the amount of people that actually give a shit about the minutia of like power politics, it's very few.
Yeah. And it just seems like there's absolutely, it's just a lack of substantiation. It's, it's not that they have any evidence of anything, or there's there's nothing substantive, right? It's just
a police preparing for something. I mean, it could be a lot of reasons why the police are preparing for it. It could be just a standard.
Police have got protocols.
Prepared for that.
Yeah, police have protocols for lots of scenarios that they don't actually expect to be in, but they have to have them just in case.
Are they wearing full riot gear in case of the zombie apocalypse or the bird flu pandemic? No.
Laugh all you want. I remember the zombie apocalypse was talked about by the CDC, and they came up with a scenario to fight it.
Yes,
they did.
I wish I was a YouTuber back then. I wish I was a YouTuber. That would have been a great thing.
That was fucking nuts. Yeah, so I wouldn't look. But we got the white helmets. We got people making up shit left, right, and center. Who the fuck knows what to believe anymore? Yeah,
true. I don't know. I just thought it was a funny story, and Captain Coalpile gave it to us. I figured we'd cover it. Cabbage, Cuba. So, what do you know about this new guy, man?
The only thing I know that he's not as militant as his predecessor, but then again, his predecessor is not really stepping back. He's doing a Putin. He'll still, effectively be running it from behind. The puppet master. But he's meant to be. Well, he's never gone through, the lifestyle that the Castros have had. He doesn't have the history. So he's more moderate in that regard. But I don't know. I think it's a very distinct possibility that he's going to have to stamp his, power at the beginning. Show he's a strong leader, like his predecessors. So he could become fairly militant pretty quickly. But I don't think so. Doesn't America now trade with Cuba?
Nope.
Didn't they remove the embargo? I thought the embargo had been dropped under Obama.
We did not remove the embargo.
Well, I have that.
Oh, right.
BBC.
Okay.
I have that BBC article up.
If the embargo hasn't been dropped, then he's got no reason not to be just as militant as his predecessor. So that could be a problem. If the embargo, I thought the embargo had gone with. I thought fucking Obama made a big deal about it.
All Obama was able to do was establish an embassy there. All right.
Is that it?
That's it.
Fuck So you still can't buy Cuban cigars?
No,
legally.
Cuban cigars are still illegal.
Okay, so here's a little bit of info on Diaz-Canel. He may have had a relatively low profile when he was first appointed vice president of Cuba's Council of State in 2013, but he has since become Mr. Castro's key ally. For the past 5 years, he has been groomed for the presidency and the handover of power. But even before being named first vice president, the 57-year-old had already had a long political career. He was born in April 1960, about a year after Castro was first sworn in. This is all just a fluff piece from the BBC. Do they love Cuba? Mm-hmm. Is that what's going on?
Oh, they do. Well, yeah, it's communist. Yeah, it's total left-wing communism. So of course they love it. BBC loves anything communist. State news, isn't it?
However you spell the other Castro's fucking name, or say it.
Raul.
Yeah,
Raul,
that stupid little.
Roll your R's.
I can't do it. That's why I suck at Spanish. He praised his ideological firmness. So he is a communist, and he's very firm on it.
Yeah.
Will it bring change? He is unlikely to make any major changes in the short term, especially while Mr. Castro remains a political force to be reckoned with. Any changes are likely to be gradual at a slow pace, yet Mr. Castro did bring in reforms after he took over.
You see, I thought if the embargo had been dropped, then he might have had a little bit more leeway to, potentially. It would have given him less reason to be draconian. But now, if it's just basically same shit, different day, then he may as well just continue the reign.
There were some things. There were parts of the sanctions that were lifted, but not much of them, and much of those got put back in place after after our embassy staff came down with mysterious illnesses.
Right. So it would seem like it's same shit, different day, I guess. But I still think that, you could see something pretty nasty, because if he isn't taken seriously to begin with, like he's perceived as a puppet by his political peers, and people start, trying to work, the subterfuge or whatever. I mean, he could really come down hard just to sort of show what a strong leader he is. Well, most leaders want to prove a point in an early time,
The crisis point, I think, will happen when Raul dies.
Yeah, that would make sense.
When the cult of personality, when the Castro cult of personality is extinguished finally, then that's when you're going to watch.
Well, that's when his pillar's taken out from under him, and he's got to stand on his own 2 feet, and that's what I mean. So if he makes an advanced statement of his authority immediately, then people are going to be less likely when Raul dies to then threaten him, because he's already proven the fact that he's willing to fuck people up.
Well,
You know what I mean?
it depends on how the people react to it. I mean, if people are just biding their time and don't actually do anything until after Castro dies, it could change the dynamic as well. Well, it's just
Yeah, it depends what it is, but strategically, it could
right.
very well work in his favor, considering the kind of regime it is.
Right. At this point, you just have to wait and see.
It'll be a preemptive strike, to establish his fierceness.
Yeah, but what's he gonna establish it on?
Well, that's what I mean. It depends on what reason he'd have to do that. There have to be a justification for it. He could just not randomly go out and start dragging people into pits or something. But if there was anything political that he could act upon, then I think he'd come down. The first thing he has to deal with that is any kind of political insurrection or whatever you want to call it. I bet you he comes down on it like a ton of bricks.
The question
will be
where he's got latitude, where you'll see whether or not he's going to stamp things differently will be basically what happens in Venezuela. Does he support the Venezuelans as that turns into because sooner or later violence is going to explode in Venezuela. Sooner or later, it's going to come to an armed insurrection or an armed conflict between Venezuela and their neighbors.
Well, haven't the citizens already rioted in small areas? And I mean, they're eating cats and dogs and shit, right?
Yeah, but they did that anyway. That's not even a change in diet.
Yeah, but if it gets more serious, and I mean, obviously the country's economic woes are getting worse and worse and worse, and it hasn't been getting better. It's not going to get better under that regime. All right. However, that regime was one of the regimes that was definitely propped up by the Cubans. Now, if they decide to intervene, and I suspect that they will in some manner to keep him propped up, that's when you'll see how this is going to change. Either he's going to support that regime or he's not.
Well, no, that will be a Raul decision. That won't be his. That's kind of like where he's going to have to pass it up to the senior management.
Right, but that will define him though.
How can Cuba really intervene? How much power do they necessarily have?
Cuba's always been willing to sell its troops to the highest bidder.
Yeah, they have mercenaries. And of course they get, they have the access to weapons from, there's weapons distributed there, second to none. They can get everything they want from Russia if it means. Russia's going to support Venezuela, and Cuba just acts as the arms dealer, the arms trading.
As long Russia will act as the arms dealer, but they won't. As long as there's no Russians on Venezuela, for some reason Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
It refuses to actually put any kind of commitment for their actual forces anywhere near that. Now they've done it in the past in Cuba, but for some reason they have a very antagonistic relationship, for lack of a better term, with Venezuela. I'm not really sure why, but they've never liked.
Yeah, well, that's why you see that's what I mean. Cuba acts as an intermediary.
Right. Yeah.
So it's convenient.
Will the United States intervene? Monroe Doctrine and all that. That's within our sphere of influence, right? Not
if a foreign power outside of the hemisphere interacts, that's one thing. If they're involved. But if they're just selling weapons to Cuba and Cuba's selling weapons, no, then the Monroe Doctrine won't be utilized.
I just thought we hated intervention in our hemisphere altogether. Yeah,
but it's not technically an intervention. It's very light from an interventionist standpoint. It's very light when you think about it. If they're selling weapons and the weapons get there, well, that's Venezuela in the Civil War. I mean, why get involved in it? As long as no European troops or Russian troops actually come into the hemisphere, I don't think the United States will react.
Yeah,
not militarily.
As long as everything has its international, trading stamps on it, whatever is needed, the arms trade stamps on them. It's just shipment. That's all it is, and Cuba just acts as a shipping point. So it's no different than any other industry when it comes to that. As long as you can, you can. I mean, Russia can obviously produce weapons that it wants, as long as it's selling them to people, within its, within the acceptable groups, then they can do that. There's nothing to stop that. That's just international trade.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't necessarily want intervention anyway, but
it's just certification.
Here's another question. Is there any strong opposition at all to the current leader of Venezuela, or is he just ruling with an iron fist?
Well, whenever somebody becomes a name for that people start to coalesce behind, he arrests them.
No, he's a tyrant. Make no mistake about it. He's a tyrant. And he's a true authoritarian tyrant. Yeah, he's not a benevolent leader.
No, and the thing is that the populace of Venezuela is flowing into other countries. It's flowing into Ecuador. It's flowing into Brazil. It's flowing into overflows are going into Peru, and
Mexico, and up into America.
And so, I mean, well, Colombia is becoming an issue as well. So these nation states had been making warnings to Venezuela to fix their problems, or they'll get fixed themselves. And to be honest, those nations, I mean, if it turns into it could turn into an interesting flashpoint if those nations decided to take action militarily. Now, where will we be? Well, to be honest, we'll be on the sideline watching it, going, "Ooh, look at the fireworks." But
no, you'll be in there with the School of Americas. Don't you worry. You'll be well embedded.
We will not put troops in there. We won't have any troops in there.
Oh no, I don't mean troops, but you will definitely be engaged.
Well, I mean, we'll be supplying whoever we think is best in the United States. We're going to supply them with weaponry, but I mean that's going to be
training and special information, satellite information.
Sounds like
whatever they require.
Sounds like the perfect ingredients for another fucking narco state to me. Sounds like they're just going to burn down to the ground and start growing cocaine.
Okay.
If you want a narco state, you could make
how do they all fucking ship it? How do you ship it, MC? Come on, you're kidding. Okay. Think I'm going to tell you how you ship it? No fucking way.
My point, Mad Dodge, is there's a huge difference in when you talk about a narco state. If you decide to create your own narco state, you're in competition with other groups that are right next door to you.
And they may not have your same belief system.
And they're not going to look kindly on a competitor.
Or a potential threat.
Well, no, either that or
if you're a bunch of anarchists, I mean, how are they going to know? There's no stability within a narco system, so it becomes a perpetual chaotic threat, right?
Yep.
So it's the worst kind of neighbor to have. It'd be worse than North Korea. I mean, they may be nuts, but they're not a narco.
Yeah, they'd have more food if they were selling drugs all the time. No.
By the way, which kind of a narco do you want? Yeah, well, this is the whole point. Because you're an ANCAP, right? Because you want anarcho-capitalism, which in itself is a total anachronism. But so, I mean, what kind of anarcho are you looking for? Which
no, narco state, like narcotic.
Do you want the one with sprinkles?
Like how fucking I don't even remember. Was it Brazil or something?
You meant narcotic state. Oh, you meant a narcotic state.
Pablo Escobar.
A narco. Yeah.
Yeah, Colombia or whatever. I don't fucking know.
And you don't even care, do you? You just say words.
Fuck you, Cabbage. You make up words sometimes, damn it. Hey, 40, you still around? Do you want to cover that last story that I found? Or
you just need to buy a dictionary, mate. Well, you don't need to. You got the Googles.
All right. I don't know if he's around, but I have it up. All right. So this comes from the BBC also. Kansas militiamen guilty of plot to bomb Somalis mosque. 3 men have been found guilty of plotting to bomb Somali immigrants at a mosque and apartment complex in Kansas. A federal jury in Wichita convicted Curtis Allen, 50, Gavin Wright, 49, and Patrick Eugene Stain, 49, who belonged to a militia called the Crusaders. That's original. Deus Volt, boys. Deus Volt. Armed with guns and explosives, the trio planned to strike a day after the November 2016 election. Why? What? You know that shit would have been blamed on Trump, right? I'm glad these assholes.
Well, the day after means they. Yeah, well, the day after means they get a chance to change their minds depending on how the election turns out. You know what I mean? You don't want to do it, like commit to something while it's happening.
The question I have the question I have is that this was done. They were arrested prior to the election, right? They had to have been to stop the attack.
Yeah, because it was meant to be the day after. So clearly, it was either it was on the day or the day before.
How long does it take to sit up there and take people to trial and convict them?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like due process to me. That was a few years, or a couple at least. Yeah, they were infiltrated by an FBI informant. The suspects, who planned to detonate 4 vehicles packed with explosives at the corners of the apartment complex, were arrested about a month before Election Day. Following a 4-week trial, the 3 were convicted on Wednesday of 1 count of conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction. Oh, we found a weapon of mass destruction in Kansas. And 1 count of conspiracy against civil rights. Conspiracy against civil rights? Why don't you call it, I don't know, attempted murder? That's a little bit better than conspiracy against civil rights.
Does it say in that piece at all about what kind of people they were, what they did for a job or anything like that? Does it, I mean, were these just sort of, I mean, you got to quite, I mean, were these like nuclear physicists? Were these, I mean, what kind of...
Well, no, it doesn't, and this article's almost over. The defendant's legal team acknowledged their clients had referred to Muslims as cockroaches, but agreed their plot was all talk. However, Assistant U.S. Attorney Anthony Mattivy for the prosecution said in court on Tuesday their ultimate goal was to wake people up and to slaughter every man, woman, and child in the building. Allen, Wright, and Stain faced life in prison when sentenced in June. Well, they took a page out of Sherman's book. You got to give them props, MC. Come on now. They were taken after a great American. Every man, woman, and child. It's like they took that quote fucking verbatim.
Obviously that he went the wrong way and didn't march through Louisiana.
Yeah. Oh, touche, buddy. Touche.
Oh, thanks for that link, Mad Dodge, by the way. Thanks for that link. I look forward to watching that. I'm going to watch the series. That Mises one.
Yeah, he starts in the 1850s. I've watched it all the way through, and I tried to share every episode in Discord, but I don't know if you guys get everyone.
Oh, no, I'll just do the playlist. We'll sit down and binge.
But what do you think? Entrapment, anybody? The defendants are saying it was all talk. The FBI infiltrated once again, just like they attempted to do at, I don't know, Ruby Ridge, anybody?
Yeah.
And nobody
the FBI have been caught infiltrating knitting circles before now, so fucking hell. They got way too many people.
Nobody died. It said nothing about them even having explosives. That'd be like me saying, hey, I'm going to go shit in your yard, MC. I don't have a bag to hold the shit in or a plane ticket to Arizona. But by God, I'm going to shit in your yard.
First of all, they were found guilty. The problem is that this article doesn't go into any of the evidence that was shown the jury. The jury obviously believed that these men were obviously threats, that the threats were credible, and that they were willing to carry them out.
Right? I want to know who these guys were, whether they were capable of actually making this stuff that they were going to do. I mean, because you certainly got to go through, high school if you're going to do this. I'd like to know a bit more about the people who are meant to have perpetrated it.
Why do you think they have to go through high school?
Well, I'm just saying that some, boggle-eyed retard is not going to be able to, create something like, you know, a serious, you know, IED, which is what it effectively be, right? I mean, you've got to have some kind of electronics knowledge. You've got to have some kind of skill. You know?
Real quick though, I also want to know how big was the Crusader militia, Deus Volt? I'm gonna have how big was it? Was it just these three fucking knuckleheads? I mean,
there you go. That's what I mean. It unless they're willing to tell you about, you know, I mean, these people must have had, you know, some kind of skill set. I mean, what were their jobs? You know, did they have any experience in anything to do with this? I mean, because it's not an easy thing to put together something like that.
Oh, okay. I won't say anything.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, technically, okay, yes, I suppose if you wanted to do it off an egg timer, you could, but you still have to know how to do it off an egg timer. You still have to, I mean, okay, maybe you need some knowledge of, you know, percussion caps or maybe, you know, well, depending on how you want to do it.
Or
you know,
some information you actually trust. Or information you know how to trust, because all you have to do is follow an instruction manual. Any jackass fucking half-baked tweaker can cook meth if they have the instruction manual. I mean, the same thing would go for bombs, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, well, no, you are right. Yeah, I can't argue.
And these people are a bit older, because one was 50 and the other two were 49.
That doesn't make them smarter.
No, but it gives them a broader experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it also gives them a lot shakier hands that have probably blown themselves up making it.
Perhaps.
I don't know. It's yeah.
No, I want to know though.
I can't argue with that. So yeah, technically they could have done it.
Is referring to a group of people as cockroaches a violation of civil rights, or was it because of the target? I'm guessing it was because of the target.
Once again, we don't know what evidence was shown the jury. I don't think that they were convicted because they called Somalis cockroaches. I don't think that's what caused them to be convicted.
What's wrong with complimenting people? You don't think that should be held against them?
Yeah, I wish I had a better link. I found it on the BBC website, and they're shite reporters.
Why don't you Google Kansas?
Yeah, check out the Kansas City Gazette. There's got to be one.
Yeah, with my luck, my whole fucking shit will shut down. Remember? Shitty computer.
Oh, well, give it a shot. See what happens. Go on. Throw caution to the wind.
All right. There's one from the New York Times. There's one from the Washington Post. There's one from NBC News.
Yeah, where's one from the actual place that it happened, though?
I don't know. I was going to say go with the Times. It's a paper of note, right? A shitty note, but of note.
Yeah. Whose notes?
Okay.
Nobody apparently in Kansas reported on something.
A fellow militia member, Dan Day, tipped off the federal authorities after becoming alarmed by the escalating talk of violence and later agreed to wear a wire as a paid informant.
Wait, a paid informant? I never trust the paid informants.
Well, whether you trust a paid informant or not, if he's got a wire and you're listening to conversation.
Yeah,
so,
it's a done deal.
Yeah, so, but what happened on that conversation was he's like, hey, we should go bomb those cockroaches. Oh, another guy's like, hell yeah, Cletus. Let's go bomb them cockroaches.
Yeah,
when should we do it? We should do it the day after the election, you know, when we're
testimony and recordings indicate the men tried to recruit other members of the Kansas security forces to join them.
It sounds like an episode
of prosecutors. He was reported discussing the type of fuel and fertilizer bomb that Timothy McVeigh used in 1995.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Damn it.
To be honest, I don't see anything wrong with this. I mean, this is just a good old crusade in my book. I mean, you know,
Dance Walt.
I mean, we drink a few beers, retake Jerusalem. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. It's like a kumite fucking evening.
Prosecutors argue that the plot was more than just words, telling jurors that the men also manufactured homemade explosives and tested them.
You see, their step
I've
up.
done that. I blew up a bridge when I was 14. I blew up a little stone bridge with
Dude, that
why
thing
would
was
you-
probably
weed
there
killer.
since Roman times, you barbarian
Mm.
bastard. What's
No,
wrong with you?
No, Victorian at the latest.
Oh God.
Oh, I'm so mad at you. No, you don't get a Confederate flag for your foot of land after you buy your
No. This
How
thing,
dare
no.
you.
This thing was dangerous. So they actually put up a wooden one next to it so that people wouldn't walk over that one.
Christ.
I'd
It
walk
was
over
all-
the stone one. I'm a rebel like that.
No, it was. Yeah, but no, I'm talking about over like a little brook, and it was a really steep angle, like over the top.
Oh,
and
I
the
would
thing
have
was
encouraged
crumbling.
Dodge to actually walk across it.
Yeah, well, I would too. I would have done just for the shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Get your cameras out, boys. Everybody
Yeah.
got their cell phones
I
ready.
think
Go,
it-
go, man. Now, let's go.
That's $250 for the video. You know, send it into one of those shows.
I'll be a YouTube star in no time. Watch this.
Yeah, you said I would have had
Hey,
my
Redeye.
play, but joke's on
Hey,
you.
Maddox, I'm so happy I'm so happy you've come to England. Oh, come and look at this lovely bridge. Would you walk across it, please? Oh,
As
the
long as you
camera,
didn't
don't
wire
worry, I
it
just
up
wanna
for
record it for
explosion.
posterity.
You crazy cabbage bastard.
No problem. We'll sit up there and mirror it on
No.
your channel. Don't worry.
That was one of the things you did when you were a kid. It was like, you know, playing with fireworks and stuff like that. You know, and I lived near
Dude.
farms and stuff. So weed killer and, you know, you could make
I
up
may-
your own stuff. And
I
people,
may
but, you
or
know,
may
look,
not-
idle hands do the devil's work. That's what
I
I'm
may or
saying.
may not have made a few Piccolo Pete bombs or Drano bombs in my time.
See?
But I never blew up a stone bridge from the Roman times, you fucking
It wasn't
barbarian.
Roman. I said Victorian at the latest.
Well,
And
and
it
that
was
begs
already dilapidated.
well, that begs the question. You said you were playing with fireworks. What the fuck kind of fireworks do you people get over there?
Yeah, and why can't we have
Well,
any?
we can't- yeah, and why can't we have knives, but we can have explosives?
Yeah. Well, don't be giving them ideas. Now there'll just be firework attacks. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. The IRA will go from
Well, no, you used to
Like
take out
man.
like
fireworks.
you get those rockets, you know, and then you cut them open and you take all of the gunpowder out, you know, the material, and you put them into
Blah,
little,
blah,
copper
cabbage.
pipes. and,
Cabbage.
you know, it's easy.
Cabbage.
What, did
I'm
you
gonna have
just
to
light a
change this to
fuse, or
mature,
did you
damn it.
do something else?
MC, don't encourage him. What are you doing?
I'm going to tell you what we did with potassium permanganate then.
Oh God.
That's a great oxidizer. You can do a hell of a
It
lot of that.
was, yeah, we took an entire tree out by its stumps.
Jesus Christ.
Literally lifted it about 15 feet into the air.
Christ.
I've like
That was
chopped
a good
trees down
Sunday.
with 12 gauge. That was fun, but they were little tiny trees, not big ones.
It just went boom.
God. So MC, where can I get a job as a paid informant? Where do I sign up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I assume
Wait,
that you.
Are,
Well,
are you
assume-
still coming
can I
to
get-
Oregon soon? This might be a problem.
Can I?
Oh no, I'm going to England now.
I was gonna say, can I get a reward on myself?
You go to England. You gotta figure out how to deal with the GCHQ over there. I mean, you have to talk to Richard Steele on how to get on his payroll.
Oh God.
Then you can get paid for the by the Crown and by the FBI.
Damn
Well,
right.
yeah,
I can
double
make
dip.
up shit. I can make up shit about hookers peeing on beds. Hell, I'll get raunchier. Like,
Yeah. And they just smeared feces all over the walls. It was awful. Oh, God.
yeah, and they didn't even fucking tip the maids. That's how
They
fucked they were.
put it on his nipples and they licked it off.
Oh God.
I mean, they were really scraping the barrel. How much shit can these guys? I mean, I really think they went that step too far with that Pissgate thing. It was Pizzagate was bad enough, but Pissgate. I mean, my God. I mean, talk about really just Christ. How low can they go? I mean, how low can that limbo bar go?
Well, I don't know.
Wait another month.
Every time we
Something else
think
will come out.
I know. Every time we think we've hit a new low, you know, this happens. And you go back, and I look at some of the old footage of prime ministers and presidents, and they were actually stately people. What have we got now? People who are meant to be pissing in hotel rooms.
Well,
having said that, well, no, I can imagine Winston Churchill pissing in his hotel, but he'd have been doing the piss. He'd probably just passed out. But
yeah, have a bit too much to drink. Little Winston over there.
That's it. I mean, I could believe that. But hey, haven't we all at one time or another?
yeah, but homeboy had bourbon at breakfast, dude. Like, I want my eggs and steak, and here's my fucking tall glass of bourbon. Make it a triple. God
and
damn.
a bottle of wine, a bottle of champagne.
The thing is about that, I mean, all that's true to a point, but you also got to remember, he was up till all hours of the night, so for him, it's just like the same, evening.
That's it. I mean, he paced himself. He was a high-functioning alcoholic. That's what he was. No, you're right. I mean, the thing is, and when he had whiskey, he had a lot of water with it. It was like very dilute. It was like having cordial or something.
Yeah, all the water the ice cube held.
Man, you don't put ice in my fucking whiskey and Coke, I'll slap you.
I'm sorry, but you don't. You do not do that in England. No, you don't put ice in, or Scotland. If you did that in Scotland, that would be shit. I mean, you think the pug dog thing would get you in trouble? Fuck me, put some ice in some scotch. You definitely get lynched.
Oh gosh,
be a public hanging.
God, the man must have had just a buzz for like 24/7. Must have just been buzzed the entire time.
Exactly.
I'm jealous to have that kind of money. Jeez.
He didn't though. He damn near went bankrupt twice. He was near bankruptcy while he was prime minister.
Oh Jesus, I didn't know.
He had to get an advance on his memoirs in order to get to even pay for. But yeah, but you got to remember the kind of house that he was running at the time. It was an 18th century household in a 20th century.
I feel. The one thing I do remember from that movie, I'll have to rewatch it, Cabbage, was that poor typewriter bitch. Like, I said single space. Weren't you fucking briefed on this? That poor wench.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah, but the thing is, she worked for him for the rest of her life. Well, sorry, for the rest of his, his life, sorry. She lived longer than him. But she was, she transposed transcripted everything for him from that point on.
God, that must have been an amazing job.
Yeah. And and that's one of those things, like when people say about non-disclosure agreements.
So she wrote all those quote books?
No, not the quote books. No, there were other people who plagiarized him. But no, she was. That's one hell of a woman. He was really. I mean, apparently he really did that kind of stuff. To people. But once you did your job well, then he really kind of took to you. If you were competent, then you became like part of the family, sort of thing.
He was just a cunt until you were one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. That's what it is.
Speaking of cunts, so YouTube is at it again. I watched a Tim Pool video earlier today. I think he put it out yesterday, actually, about the new YouTube blacklist that they're actually getting the the major video companies, 40, that will allow you to use copyrighted music and all that type of stuff. And they'll, help spread your channel and help you grow. But they take a part of your profit. Now they're being told to drop certain members from their groups.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that doesn't surprise me. The funny part is that I was listening. What was I listening to?
Was it Dave?
Oh crap! I can't.
Dave Cohen said there was another one about another analytical layer of interpretation.
Oh no, it wasn't. It wasn't Dave Cohen. I can't remember who I was listening to, but it was someone who's talking about how this is kind of happening on both sides, specifically to like the LGBT community, and how a lot of their more sexual content is being censored. So I mean, the thing is that I mean, I've kind of always held this, but it's not even necessarily just a censoring of one specific group of people, but it's a censoring of all peoples, really. And I think this is to just basically clean up YouTube so that when YouTube TV comes along, and it will eventually, a lot of these mainstream channels can have just a smooth transition into an audience that, you know, isn't radicalized. You know, they're not not so heavy
they're
on
basically
smut and
creating
whatnot.
they're
exactly.
creating a new, you know, CBS, NBC, you know, whatever.
Yeah, but there isn't going to be a Mad Dodge Productions news channel in the YouTube sphere, dude. We're the ones they're trying to shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
mean, the recommendation stuff, the idea of people submitting, we have been the lost leader, you know, for them, as you know, people doing this stuff and getting free bandwidth and everything else. This is a lost leader. Their intention has been to effectively take over cable, you know, and I mean Netflix and everything, right? They have more bandwidth than God.
Yeah.
You know? So there's nothing that will be able to compete when they get their platform in. They're building pretty much an ultimate media monopoly.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it would be a smooth transition if you think about it, because I mean, looking at the numbers of people that consume media, I mean, just the average age of a MSNBC or a CNN or a Fox News viewer, I mean, it's pretty much only the boomers, really. I mean,
it's the death list. That's the whole point. It's the death list, and that's why they're preparing for it.
Yeah. Well,
so
I mean,
YouTube is going to basically replace, when all these people die off, they're already going to absorb these, you know, the younger generation into the
but the younger generation is here not necessarily for us, but they're here for this type of content. Philip DeFranco is even having trouble. He was kicked off of his group, and a lot of his shit's limited status.
Exactly.
The dude has millions of subscribers. He's starting his own news network. For God's sake.
But like I say, that's because they want to turn it into MSNBC, NBC, ABC. They want to turn it into Alpha Spaghetti.
But that's not what made YouTube. That's not what made YouTube.
That's why I'm telling you that all this stuff that's happened so far was a loss leader in order to replace the existing media platforms.
Well, the thing is that if you go to like Fox News, because Fox News and MSNBC, they all have like YouTube channels, for instance, but the problem is that they're not as big as a lot of other YouTube channels. If I had to guess, like CNN's subscriber count, it's probably between 500 and 1 million. So, you know, realistically, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, realistically though, that's not a lot of people. And one of the reasons that they would probably want to make that smooth transition is because they don't have a major foothold on YouTube, right? They'll publish, you know, 3-4 minute clips at most, but they don't do their own live streams, for instance. Other people are streaming their content and they're making money and they're making views off of like CNN, for instance. But I mean, other than that, they don't have any foothold really. So I mean, this would be a perfect opportunity for them to start streaming on YouTube if they can make that transition, say in another 10 or so years when boomers start dying off. And then they're going to have to start catering to people, you know, the people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who are actually using YouTube.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what's the upshot of that? The question is going to be, how do you commercialize it? How do you get advertised? That's how the stuff's paid for now.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, at the moment, YouTube is in the red. They're not making money. Right. And the only reason they would be able to make money is if they got a lot of these major corporations, news outlets, and a lot of these advertisers back on board. And the only reason they're going to be able to do that is to essentially get rid of us.
This is what I'm saying. This is why it was a loss leader. The loss leader was to create the the number of eyeballs onto a particular platform. So now YouTube knows it's got a captured audience. Mm-hmm. Now all they have to do is modify the platform itself, and then people will slot into place.
Yeah.
You know, that's really all it is. So, you know, all of this stuff has been, I mean, certainly, you know, a lot of the things, you know, they're happy with the cat videos and things like that. But the other stuff, they've had to stomach it. And which is why, you know, the cat videos won't disappear. You know, they'll still be around and things like that, but all the rest of it. And of course, you know, like I said, they've already got the bandwidth, they've got the infrastructure and everything. So why would all of these companies want to, you know, invest in doing it themselves when there's already an established platform to do it on?
They already want to invest. Look at Amazon. Amazon's thinking about making their own video sharing platform. You have Gab TV. You have
Gab's not going to go anywhere.
BidMe died, which was the only one I actually signed up to. But I signed up to Gab now. I think you have to pay for a premium membership to get unlimited space on their streaming thing. But there is some alt-right people over there, which I'm not alt-right, but that seems to be kind of what's on Gab TV right now, like Christopher Cantwell, people like that.
Then you got Minds as well, you know. But I mean, you know, Minds is I suppose an alternative to Twitter, isn't it? More.
Yeah. Well, and one of the other things is that YouTube already has a built-in viewer base. You know, you don't have to worry about attracting people to your platform. It's already fucking there. Yeah.
They got a captured audience. All you got to do is restrict people from what they can see and then just divert them to the things you want them to see. And that's it. Hey, presto, you got yourself, you know, the entire delivery system for, you know, news you know, entertainment.
Yeah. Well, and let's face it, I mean, YouTube is a natural monopoly. You know, they have the largest share of viewers on their platform. You know, Minds doesn't have the amount that Twitter does, and, you know, Gab doesn't have the amount that YouTube does. It's not a monopoly in the traditional sense because we have antitrust laws and everything, but it is a natural monopoly, meaning people will willingly go to the service because it's superior. So they just need to co-opt it. That's pretty much it.
Exactly. And it's not really being co-opted, I don't think. I mean, and that was always the intention. The question is, how can a company last so long never making a profit? You know, Amazon, you can understand that there might have been long-term hedge fund, you know, thinkers. But I mean, this one has been a hell of a long time, and I can't comprehend the kind of bandwidth bills that they've had to pay.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the terabytes per second that go, you know, is having to go off their servers? And the same thing with Google. Google did the same thing. It lasted for years, never made a penny.
Yeah.
Billions and billions and billions. I mean, these are long-term plans people are putting in place.
No, but these companies can die. Yahoo, MySpace. It does happen.
Yeah, YouTube some of them can, but some of them are...
If they keep kicking their creators in the fucking face, sooner or later, we're going to move somewhere else, and they are going to be at least get a big hit in the belt already on a losing product.
You know what will then have been done from the intelligence community, and I think MC might be able to back me up on this one, is that they now know everything digital, right? So we now have bi-directional information. So, I mean, like YouTube knows at what point you stopped the video, things like that, right? It knows not just what you watched, how long you watched it for. I mean, Jesus, if you're wearing Google eye thing, then they probably see where your iris went. So, you know, they've got all of that information now. So when you move away to a different platform, the majority of people, okay, the sheep are going to be just going to take the usual YouTube platform. It actually makes it easier then to identify potential, you know, well, I mean, you then get a secondary group of people who are potentially a threat to the establishment and the status quo. So it's like a refinement process. It's like, you know, it's a filtration or a distillation.
Well, I looked at my last live stream, and that was about 2 months ago on the 24th. So I should be back on my main channel if it's the 3-month thing next month on the 24th. We'll see. If it's not, then I'm probably gone for good over there for live streams. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to keep reminding people to subscribe, you know, the beginning and end and stuff, or partway through as well.
Everyone subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, you fucks.
Click the bell and hit the bell.
Yeah, I was going to say, hit the bell thing, because
demonetize. I mean,
I am demonetized. Whatever, fuck them. They're a bunch of fucking bunch of cunts.
The bells, fucking Quasimodo.
40. Did you have anything else you want to talk about, or is it going to be another short one on this Wednesday?
Well, I just opened up this link that MC posted. What's this about black man demands free Starbucks coffee as reparations?
Yep.
What's this?
Oh my
Well, a
god.
guy this morning walked into a Philadelphia Starbucks, said, "I want my reparations. I want my free coffee. You'll give me my free coffee." And the barista basically gave him, "Okay, no problem. That wasn't us, but we'll give you your free coffee. Let me get your coffee." Yeah, right.
That
I've been
wasn't
talking about my
us?
reparations. This is what I'm talking about.
What the fuck? Tell me
Fucking hell.
the
Talk about
coffee with
corporate
comment.
appeasement.
Coffee with comment. If you're not watching live and you watch this later, dude, were you in line? Did you witness this bullshit?
They got it recorded. If you follow that link, it is recorded of this guy, and it's an actual thing. And
Holy
there
shit.
were memes going around basically with fake coupons about if you're black you can get free coffee because Starbucks is giving you free coffee and everything else. And apparently this guy went in demanding his free coffee, and the Starbucks employee behind the thing gave it to him.
Yo, boys, looks like I'm gonna go buy some fucking shoe polish.
Yeah.
I want some free coffee. Shit.
Did you see the did you play the link?
This is the little Twitter video, right? Or
Yeah, I think one of them has the little video. The one there.
oh, here it is. Yeah. All right, let me watch this really quick. This looks golden.
I mean, it's pretty. It's horrible.
Right.
Oh my god, the fucking face he makes at the fucking beginning. That's ridiculous.
Corporate appeasement.
I heard you all was racist, so I came here to get my free coffee.
We about to go inside, get some free coffee. All right, here we go.
Jesus.
Are y'all ready?
I heard you guys don't like black people, so I came to get my Starbucks reparation voucher. Is this a real thing?
God.
I mean, I'll give it to you. I saw
It's
that
gotta
on
be a
Twitter last
po.
night.
It's gotta be a po.
No,
It's gotta be a po.
this guy really did this morning.
Yeah,
was
or
not-
maybe somebody gave a moron a voucher and said, "Hey, if you go in there," and then the fucking manager, just fucking succumbed or something. That's gotta be a po.
Oh no, it's real.
How can you tell these days? That's like candid camera or
No,
something.
I can tell because I just died a little bit inside.
An angel lost his wings.
Oh my god, where was Philadelphia? You said?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
This is
Oh,
because
alright.
I mean, this is because of that arrest where they arrested those two black guys for loitering.
Oh yeah. Okay, right. So
Yeah.
step 1, nuke California. Step 2, nuke Philadelphia.
But what about Pete and fucking coffee, man? Come on.
Hey, listen. I'm sucking it up. I'm taking one for the team. They can do the same. Right? Simple as that.
But
Fair enough. Maybe if the wind's right, it could knock out fucking Memes of Destruction too up in Boston. So,
No, two
there's
stones.
that.
he's got Memes has got more to worry about from the nuke from California than he does from Philadelphia. But no, the problem is these guys were loitering, and instead of basically telling these two criminals to screw off, they said, well, we're gonna close in the next couple days, all the Starbucks are gonna close so that they can train people in racial sensitivity.
Did you not see the link I sent the other day? I sent a link into nobody reads my fucking links. Fuck you all.
Wait, where was this link?
Send
I don't
you
even
good links. It was in politics, I think, and it was either in politics or Redeye. 8,000 coffee shops closed for racial sensitivity training.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
Yeah.
This is from The Guardian. This will be good.
Oh yeah, and they're totally left leaning, so they're going to support it too. So they're going to be, loving it.
Oh my gosh.
That's a McDonald's commercial. That's not Starbucks.
All right. Announcing plans to close more than 8,000 U.S. stores for several hours next month to conduct racial bias training for nearly 175,000 workers. The announcement came after the arrest.
Hang on. Isn't that automatically now racial? Because they think that Americans are clearly less capable than the British. Why aren't they closing the British ones? I want the British ones closed, damn it.
Nah,
I
too
want
bad.
them having to do it.
That's too bad.
Every shop should have to close.
you have to go
So
buy
what,
coffee.
what happens when you don't
I think
stick
it's
to your guns, when you have a policy, and
Yep.
you got people that are acting like jackasses, which these two gentlemen that were arrested were doing. Basically, you can't tell me to leave. You can't tell me to leave. These self-entitled assholes. And then it's like, no, you're going to leave. They've asked you to leave. This is a private establishment. You do not have any rights to their
That's
stuff.
right. You know, I've been in town and I've needed to take a leak, and I've gone into somewhere like a pub. You know, and it's like, can I use your toilet? Or you know, I mean, some of the pubs say you got to buy something. It's like, fine, I'll buy a Coke, and then you go and take a leak, and then you have your Coke and you move on. You know what I mean? Or you.
Yep.
I mean, that's just how it is. I've been into McDonald's, and they, you know, you're not allowed to use their toilets unless you're a paying customer. Yeah. So you just buy the, you know, you buy whatever, like you buy a portion of fries. Big deal.
Basically, they ruin, what this does is it ruins it for other people because they don't want to act like responsible adults. They want to act like children. And the store made a massive mistake. Starbucks made a massive mistake acquiescing to this.
Yeah, they apologized. Yeah, they apologized. And now, not only that,
they fired the store manager. The store manager was doing exactly what he should have been doing. Protecting his people and protecting his customers.
And I bet you that was actually store policy at the time. And so it's a retrospective, you know, annulment of that person. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, well, well, we trained you that way, but we meant this. Yeah, but how the fuck was I supposed to know that 5 years later? It's like fucking Back to the Future. You know what I mean? It's like we're doing time traveling with things. But this is, I mean, but if that person was willing to take that ridiculous voucher and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and actually do that, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, that just shows you just the level of appeasement and just the, I don't know, I don't even know what it is.
They didn't want to be shown on YouTube. They didn't want to be the person who was like, "No, fuck you, black person, get out of my Starbucks." They were going to be fired. They took it, and it probably came out.
All they had to do was say no.
Oh, it's not a real voucher. You have to watch this. They basically scared that girl to death. She was afraid.
Oh, he's a girl.
The
big
girl
black guy intimidating a girl.
The girl who gave him the coffee. So, she was behind the counter, and she you can see she is scared. She's scared of telling these guys no. She's scared of doing what she doesn't know. She's just like, okay, I'll give it to you, just to try and, you know, appease it, to let it go away, because she's frightened of what's going to happen to her.
This is the moral fucking, you know, persecution that's going on with, we know, with anyone who's white or any. It just fucking winds me up like, oh, I swear to God, you know. When you see the media and the way they present it, that somehow this is white oppression at every single fucking turn, and that somehow, and of course everyone thinks that black men are, you know, are going to be violent because that's the way they're portrayed in the movies, but that's not a fucking stereotype, is it?
Well, no, like, I don't know. This is so ridiculous. I'm reading this this Guardian article, and it says Starbucks has continued to champion progressive causes in the workplace. Last month, they claimed to have achieved 100% pay equality across gender and race for all U.S. employees. And it's just like, wait, hold on.
But hang on, if that's the case, then surely the Supreme Court should be taking them to court for all of the years since the days when equal pay and everything was instituted. When was that in the U.S.?
Fucking like in the, oh shit, actually it was Kennedy,
well, 1970s or 1970s, something like 60s. Yeah. So I mean, technically that company has just admitted to not having an equal pay
Title IX.
Yeah, so they've actually been, they just admitted to violating Title IX for the last 50 years.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. I was like, all right, so you're telling me if I'm a black man working at Starbucks, you're only paying me, what, 90 cents on the dollar, I guess? You know? Oh, my God. If that was the case, how many lawsuits would be filed by now? Like, it's...
Well, that's what I mean. No, I mean, technically, that company just admitted that it's only just achieved that goal. So, technically, I mean, if they're talking about equal pay, for equal job. I mean, if they're actually talking about what the Equal Pay Act is,
You can't.
then Title IX, then they just admitted that they've been violating it for 50 years.
Yeah, but you can't sue in retrospect, can you? Can you?
Well, of course you can. No, look,
Yeah.
excuse me. No, of course you can, because you can't sue somebody until after you've been defrauded, right?
The government.
That's how it works.
I mean, fair enough, I guess.
You can't sue somebody in advance of being defrauded.
The government could come down and say and try and use this as evidence in a civil rights lawsuit. The government could do that. The Labor Department could file an injunction against them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it was serious, of course, they know damn well it's bullshit.
It wouldn't surprise me if they would have.
Yeah, but the point is that the company knows it's bullshit. It's always been paying this stuff. All they're doing is just fucking they're just
why do we?
They've always done it because they've had to do it. It's the law.
Why do we focus on certain segments of American society? What if a Polish person goes to Germany to Beer Fest? Can they get all the free beer they want because they were oppressed for I don't know how long by the German and then the Russian people? I mean,
hey, listen.
Certainly reparations for all, right?
In that case, Britain should have every fucking fair game to all of Europe, right? They got to give us everything for free.
There you go. Free tea and crumpets for all.
Have rat resistance. We'll sit up there and blame him for the oppression that the Norwegians gave to the Native Americans. They started the whole ball rolling.
Yeah, they did. Well, no, it was Swedish, wasn't it?
Yeah. So this is just another game of pass the buck, right? We could just pass the buck around and nobody ever pays.
Well, no, it was like. It was like the other night. This is the whole point. The other night we said about the colonialism. And I said, well, I'm waiting for that so we can pass it on to the fucking Italians for the Romans. So, pass it back to us. We'll just bunk it onto somebody else. Pass the parcel. It's the hot potato, isn't it? I mean, who technically is?
And eventually, everything. If you go back far enough, it all goes back to the continent of Africa, since we all came from the continent of Africa. So it's the African nations that owe us reparations.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, well, no, it's It's the African nations that owe everybody else reparations because they left the fucking savannah, and none of this problem would have happened if they hadn't. If they had stayed in the fucking trees.
Can we just stop worrying about the current fucking slave issues in Liberia? Wait a minute. No, we can't. Who am I kidding? You want free coffee?
Oh my gosh.
But no, it's unfortunate that you have these kind of things happening, and at some point in time, people are going to say enough is enough. And it's in America, we do everything wrong until until you're at an extreme, and that's where we're headed with this.
Yeah, well, that's how the British are, and this is the thing that I'm waiting for, because when it snaps, it's going to snap really, really badly, and I think Brexit might be the point that it happens. Because we are so tolerant. I mean, we always have been. But when it goes bad, we do get extremely nasty. I mean, we saw that with just something as simple as, say, the poll tax.
Or a soccer game.
Well, those people can get very brutal very, very quickly. And especially with this immigration thing and the rape gangs and all the rest. It will, if the government keeps ignoring this stuff, it will be I mean, they are creating chaos because they want to create order out of chaos, right? And, I mean, they love chaos. That's them. That's their bread and butter.
Well, what do you say, boys? Ethno state, yay or nay?
Nay. Unless it's on Mars, I'm cool with that.
No, I want
so basically, Mad Dodge is saying that he wants all African Americans deported to Mars.
Oh God!
What?
Calm down, Richard. Calm down, Richard Spencer.
I'll take volunteers. I mean, shit.
It sounded like a Channel 4 interview.
Oh,
so what you're saying is,
oh Jesus,
Kathy Newman.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're just walking me into the fucking gas chamber. Come this way, Mad Dodge. So what you're saying, right, is you're deporting all the black people.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to talk about the Civil War, Mad Dodge?
It's right. No, just mention lobsters. That'll do it.
Oh, those fucking lobsters.
The lobsters.
I'm telling you, they're working with the goddamn penguins.
Yeah. Told you still got to worry about the walruses.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, they're kind of a wild card. They might side with us.
Yeah, you
People
know,
hold
hit and
hope for
miss.
the Walrus.
Depends on who's winning. Rather like the Americans, right?
Well, and we should, since we have the lizard people in the West, we should already have the alligators and crocodiles.
Oh, no. Lizard people are everywhere. I mean, Putin's a lizard person too, you know?
Speaking of which, did you guys see that one tweet where the little girl is riding an alligator?
What the
Riding
fuck?
it? I'm hoping this isn't a Pornhub thing. I'm hoping this isn't a Pornhub thing.
No, this like 4 or 5-year-old girl. They have her sit on top of this fairly good-sized alligator, and it starts walking with her like she's riding it like a horse.
Okay,
I'm like,
is its mouth like taped
together? No, its mouth was not taped. Now there was a guy walking beside it, but I'm just thinking to myself, that thing could spin and snap, and the kid is gonna be freaking in 2 pieces.
Well, do crocodiles
do
but the thing is, gators do? Gators have the death roll. Well, they'll just roll and fucking take you with them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The thing is,
do crocs do that?
Yeah, they'll do the same thing. Yeah.
The thing is that they're like, you know, it's an amphibian. So generally speaking, when they got a full stomach, they really don't care about eating anything else. You know, they have feeding frenzy. You know, they tend to eat large meals and, you know, like a lot, you know, in few intervals.
I still would not put my child on a 8-foot alligator so she can ride around on.
It's not a smart idea. I agree with you. It's not the cleverest thing, but that's what happens with hicks when they've had a few beers.
I mean, it wasn't in the water or anything. It was on the land. No.
Wait, are there hicks in Australia? We don't have crocs over here. All right, buddy.
Alligator, croc, the same frickin' animal.
Well, yeah.
For all intents and purposes.
All dinosaurs. Yeah. Well, different shaped mouths, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, snout's a little bit different, not much.
Did I ever tell you guys about the lady in Florida with the pet crocodile alligator thing?
It was not a pet. It just happened to tolerate.
Was it both? Was it a crocodile alligator thing? Like it had 2 fucking heads? That'd be great.
It was a chimera.
No, it was absolutely fucking ridiculous. So this lady in Florida adopts like this tiny little crocodile as a baby. And she dresses it up in baby clothes, and she straight up like she didn't like teach it to ride like a 4-wheeler, but she'll sit it on a 4-wheeler and just like let it sit there, and he'll put his hands on the handlebars and everything. It's the most ridiculous fucking thing. Like
that's a Darwin Award waiting to happen.
Yep.
You know, that really is.
Yeah, I was just about to say this. This is Darwin's wet fucking dream. This is ridiculous.
She's going to be another victim at some point in her life, just like that lady that was keeping a chimp in her apartment in New York.
Yeah, I got a face torn off.
Dude, I was thinking the exact same thing, MC. I swear, I just sent it to you telepathically.
How many? But how many of these people have had? You know, like God, there are more tigers in Texas than there are in, you know, their native habitat. You know, and so many people have been killed by.
They got tigers in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. You look it up. There's a bigger tiger population in Texas in private ownership than there are in the natural habitat. I mean, according to WA.
Remember when that white tiger tried to eat one of those fucking magician fags in Vegas?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It didn't try. Pretty well succeeded for the most part.
Yeah.
I didn't kill him. And eventually, after they chopped him, after he got chewed on it for a while.
Didn't manage to get actually through the spinal cord, but you know, had a damn good chance. You know, had a damn good go at it.
It was a snack, not a meal. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, that's why.
Just pussy, just little putty playing.
These are wild creatures, and people get too complacent that they're wild creatures, and they forget that, you know, we created boomsticks for a reason.
Boomsticks.
We don't have
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to any animal in nature versus man, we tend to come out second.
Well, it's like that guy who went to live up, you know, with the bears in Alaska, and he thought that he had them all, like he was living with them in a family, and then, you know, one day they were too hungry and they just fucking ate him. You know what I mean?
No, that's not what happened. No, are you talking about the guy that went up there with his girlfriend and they both got eaten?
Yep.
No, I'm talking about a guy who lived there for years. I mean, he.
Yeah,
really,
no,
I mean,
it's the same guy.
It's
the same guy. It was the same guy.
Yeah, but he didn't just go up for like a summer or something. I'm saying
No.
he lived there.
He went up. He had been there for a long time, going back and forth.
Yeah, and then
he was going back and forth, but he refused to put up his electric fence. Like the park ranger service hated this fucking guy, and he stayed late into the season when they start getting really hungry because he was looking for this one grizzly bear. And yeah, he found that one grizzly bear, and it was hungry. And all there is audio of him screaming as he dies, and they refuse to release it. Although I would like to hear it. I'm sick.
But you are. But I mean,
he was one of these naturalist reporters. He was doing his documentary. Everybody thought he was fantastic. And if you watch his documentary, there are times when he bops these things in the nose.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then you find out what happened to him in real life, and you're like, duh. Sooner or later, this is a wild creature. All right. Yeah. And at some point in time, all it takes is for them to wake up in a bad friggin' mood.
Yeah.
But MC, this is the problem. It's like, this fucking Captain Nemo society. Like everyone thinks that, everything's, lovely, that sharks are happy and, that they're actually not such a bad thing, really. So you go and fuck with them. Because people aren't actually being taught. I mean, in the olden days, certainly people in Australia are going to be taught about, what you should and shouldn't approach and things. But the way they they infantilize people. And this guy was treating this thing like it was a fucking pet. And he really honestly believed that it saw itself the way he saw it. He was delusional. He's an absolute mental case. And he got eaten for it. That's what happens.
That's why I'd like to do that to over half the frickin' PETA people, is drop them off frickin' buck-ass naked in Alaska.
Yeah.
Get back and go back. You want to go back to nature? You want a back to nature movement? No problem. You just hop aboard. We'll send you back to nature. You'll learn real quick what it was like.
Why not just give him a helicopter ride? God damn.
I've said this to somebody.
Are you kidding me? I want them there with a frickin' GoPro. I want it satellite linked so everybody can watch this shit.
You're the guy that's going to create the Hunger Games in real life. Holy shit!
But the thing is, it'll be people versus animals. I mean, at least that's fair game.
How Roman of you!
We're working.
How very Roman of you!
But we're working on their own principles. You see, it's their principles.
I'm not sentencing people to this. I'm just saying, if you have this philosophy, then you should have no problem signing up. All right, to become one with nature.
And it's
just like the Vietnam lottery. Here's the date that we're picking, you guys. You guys have to sign up for the for the nature lottery.
MC, imagine like the TV commercial is like, stand by your convictions.
Yeah, suddenly
Games.
Suddenly I am really fucking happy that you can find a quote of me saying, drill through the polar bear's head. I don't give a fuck. So I am not in this lottery.
Hey.
Yeah.
The polar bear's already got to be dead before you'd ever get a chance to drill a hole through his head.
Yes. Suddenly I'm very glad that I've threatened on audio to beat my cat ferociously in front of everyone. And no Siberian wilderness for me, thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, 40. I can't trust anyone who's a cat owner.
Well, at least I don't have to take my cats on walks, thank you.
Exactly. It improves your
you have to scoop their shit up for them and put some more fucking shit in the box. Don't worry, my wife has a cat too.
You end up smelling like a 40-year-old woman.
Cats aren't pets. Cats are owners.
My outside cat keeps leaving dead moles on my front porch. I'm actually getting really fucking pissed off with that bitch.
Well, it's trying to feed the family. You're part of the family. You should be happy. It's trying to give you food.
It is.
If she wants to give
that is a thank you.
If she wants to get me food, that bitch will go get a driver's license and go to fucking McDonald's for me.
Go to Starbucks, right? Go get some coffee.
Yeah, unfortunately, this isn't fucking Ratatouille, right? The rats are not fucking. You know what I mean? The creatures aren't animated.
I
get
do
used
think
to
that there's a
real
lot of
life.
people that have that view of things, especially when they see, oh, look at Canute, the cute little polar bear. Yeah, why don't you go out to the wilderness and go talk to the polar bear? Go commune with the polar bear. Here, put the GoPro camera on and head on out. All right.
Yeah.
Everyone will watch this as you sit up there and commune with the polar bears.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, what about? Wait a
we gotta-
minute. What about the sign language monkey? All right, sign language monkey can talk to you. Damn it! It can
Which
tell
one?
you if it wants
There's
a
a bunch
beer.
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I wonder what sign language that chimp sit up there and gave that owner as he ripped her face off.
Well, actually,
I don't like you anymore, bitch.
Last time you
Mad
raped
Dog,
me, you son of a bitch.
there was a documentary called Project Nim, which was a monkey which was taught sign training. You know, like at the same time when oh god, who's the liberal guy? He's a linguistics expert.
I don't know. I'm talking about the female chimp or whatever.
Yeah, but
What
I'm
the
saying
fuck
but I'm saying the chimp, and they actually did that, and then they ended up abandoning it, and it went back to ripping people's faces off. So the only difference was it could explain why afterwards.
Well, that's pretty sweet. You get the monkey motive. I mean, that sounds like a movie right there. Hey, Hollywood, call me. Monkey
Just
motive.
justifiable
Coming out this
homicide.
fall.
She was raping me when people weren't around.
Oh God.
There you go. And hashtag me too.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I think that's the bottom of the barrel for the Redeye here. Any other stories, or should we wrap it up here?
I don't know. Bestiality, that's pretty fucking low.
Hey, 40, after man streaming tomorrow, do you want to try and do that Trailer Park Boys review?
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, cool. Any last thoughts, Cabbage? Any of you guys? How about North Korea and South Korea? Peace? You know, it's better than war. What is war good for, right? I mean,
You fag.
oh, sorry. We should have just ended on the chimp fucking ripping the faces off. I'm sorry. There. You know, that's a good reason to fear Planet of the Apes. We're out of here. Fuck off.